8?
Throw 7.
You sure?
Like 90%. I'll check. Right.
What's good? This is Denny.
And this is James from TeaDB.org. We got some Sonics gear in the house.
Yeah.
So go Sonics. Have not been around
We're
for
kicking
the last
ass
12
this
years.
season.
Yeah. We'll get a team at some point.
We got some Wuyi. I knew that was gonna happen.
So we have some pre-packaged Wuyi. This seems to be a popular way to package up Wuyi. And Denny was saying earlier that, sometimes there's not great teas in these, so having these packages does not guarantee quality.
Right.
So we'll see how it is. Looks like Denny is... He could probably use a little more than that.
You want me to?
Yeah.
Fine, we'll go for
This
broke.
is TeaDB.
Oh man, okay, we're going for it, guys. Oh golly. Oh jeez.
So usually the Gaiwan is 2/3 full. Looks like some decently intact leaves.
Yeah.
So that's good.
That is one reason why a small package like this tends to be not as good.
We are missing a Chahai.
Et voila.
Thank you, Stevie.
And through the magic of editing, we're back.
So we gave that a nice long rinse right there, and it's dark color.
Little
Smells on the dark side.
Yeah,
Very
definitely.
toasty, roasty.
yeah.
So the harvest of this 2018.
Cool. Some old trees apparently.
Yes, so Laocong Shuixian, which means old bush. Yeah, so that usually means that it's supposedly a little higher quality than the young bushes, just the Shuixian. So we will give this a go. And if you do use this much leaf, the whole package in this case, you definitely want to regulate your steeps. So this is not like a drop it in the pot, come back in 5 minutes sort of deal.
Oh my God.
Otherwise you will
Die.
be seeing the porcelain goddess.
Smells great.
Yeah.
You see, these have such a strong aroma, and they
Right.
differ so much in the cup. So we'll see how they they smell. But yeah, leaf quality actually pretty decent.
They change quite fast too, so.
Give it a shot. Do a high pour here. Definitely agree that this smells like a really beautifully roasted. And some of these teas really kind of show their greenness once you actually get them hydrated. Whereas this one still is remaining pretty dark. You can see a little bit of green.
Yeah.
So, oops. Oh, God.
And some of that might come out a little more too as we
Right.
steep it out, so we'll see.
Whereas like a charcoal roasted oolong is just going to stay black the whole time.
Yeah.
So, here we go.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Still pretty toasty. I get some hints of sort of like these drier, rocky fruits. It's sort of like if you took a peach and like just stabbed it through a rock and then had sort of the remnants of that. I'm trying to one-up Denny apparently on the weird comparisons. What you got?
Yeah. Well, this tastes like a rock had...
A rock and a unicorn had a kid together.
Yeah, it's good. I can tell it's going to be strong. We're going to get into some strength here. I like the roast. I think there's a little bit of, definitely an earthiness, maybe even a hint of some spiciness to this. Earthiness rather. So rock flavor. The mineraliness of this. Not tasting the roast too much. I think there's good balance on this.
Yeah. Which is one thing that I was a little worried about, is that we might have just been consuming this tea a little too soon, because it did smell so roasty in the initial smell, but it's not too roasty at all in the cup.
Yeah. Good, smooth.
Nice sweetness to it.
Yeah, for a Wuyi, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, not brewed too strong at all.
Not yet. We'll see. There's a lot of leaf in here, and as the leaves expand and take up more and more surface area, they also tend to trap more liquid as well. And so inadvertently, sometimes these can just get more potent because it's just harder to get all the liquid out of all those little folds in the leaves.
It's true, yeah.
So, onward.
Onward we go.
Cheers. Steep number 2. It's nice. It's the viscosity is fairly light. Not in a bad way, just as an observation. It's not as syrupy as some of these can get. Although I don't really think that Wuyis end up being super syrupy compared to something like sometimes a white tea.
Sometimes you do get a nice, like, sort of thick, textured mouthfeel to it, which can be rewarding. Mm-hmm. But this is more little thinner in its viscosity, but it's not bad, I would say. It doesn't come off as too weak, for instance.
Really enjoying the balance on this. It tastes classic, and slightly sweeter than I would expect. So it's not that it's sweet. You know, this tea is not a sweet tea, but for what it is, it does have a nice sweetness to it.
Yeah. And as typical for a tea like this, it's strong and sort of like these rocky, mineral-y tastes. Definitely tastes like a rock tea to me, at least.
Get a little bit more of the roast on this go around. Nothing significant. Quite tasty. Let's keep going. I'm going to reinspect the leaves here a little bit. Still, pretty dark. Little bit of some, a red green in there, but for the most part, pretty dark. So, and but some leaves in there, like that one right there is pretty green. For example, I'm putting it back in there. Whatever. Yum onward.
Mom test?
No.
No?
I just don't think that Wuyi's really passed the mom test very much. It's like, well, I don't know. Do moms really enjoy kind of, I don't want to say this is bitter, but more intense? There's no easy flavor here. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's no just like one size fits all flavor profile in
it's
this.
Also not a forgiving brew in my opinion, usually. So, this could probably be overbrewed, as well as underbrewed. I do think this would be a good tea for the Denny Ultra Light Challenge. I could see drinking this tea out in the wilderness. I mean, I guess the one thing that might stop you a little bit is that it can be a challenge to brew, but with a little bit of thought, I think you could probably do it justice.
I might have taken a titanium guy one out into the woods last weekend in the cold, frigid, lower teen temperatures to have some white tea. So that might be coming to a screen near you guys soon.
Oh, yeah?
No promises. I was so freaking cold. I couldn't, I didn't have enough warmth before I had to get in my sleeping bag because it was getting dark out to, comment on the tea. Uh-huh. So I did film the whole process.
Wow. Is it a much coveted Denny in-between-isode coming up? In the Q&A, I noticed,
time will tell.
I noticed when you were asking the questions, you passed over.
I don't know what you're talking about.
If you're given the phone to me, I'm not afraid to ask the hard questions here, people.
That's supposed to be a softball interview. I'm out. Cheers. Really sweet.
Yeah, almost creamy in this one. Yeah,
I like this. This is good. I like the balance. I feel you on a slight fruitiness to the sweetness too. Not spicy anymore. Just a nice rocky flavor to it. Definitely good balance too. It's not the sweetness isn't overwhelming. It still tastes solidly in the category. This is good. I like it. And these are Old Ways
tea. So I think this might be the first tea I've had from them. but I know they are known in the Reddit tea community for being sort of a Wuyi Oolong vendor.
Yeah.
So.
And bitterness, astringency?
No, not really. I mean, I'm sure you could get it if you did the forget about it mom test.
Right.
Which is literally brewing it and coming back 20 minutes. But the way that Denny's brewing it, I think it's holding up just fine with minimal bite to it. So
Totally. Maybe just a slight hinting at the mouth puckeringness that you'll find in any strong brewed tea. But no, good balance. Bitterness isn't the enemy necessarily, just it's not showing up here that much. So it's pretty good, yeah. I'm enjoying this a lot. This will be probably our final steeping for this session. But a sort of tea like this, James, how long could something like this go for?
7, 8. Yeah, I mean, you can always push these things a little bit further. These Wuyi sessions tend to be a little front-loaded, which I think is fine.
Right.
So I think the teas like this, TeaDB is a good place to bring them on because we can get to most of the important infusions just the way we drink naturally on the show.
Yeah.
How's it smell?
It smells great still, and especially with a tea that's packaged in a small package like this where it's a little bit easier in transport to have things get a little bit more crunched up. As a result, because of the smaller surface or the increased surface area from all of that, you can get a little bit of a stronger front and slower end to these sorts of teas. Whereas if we're just using those big, thick, and longer leaves, it might be a little bit more balanced. Probably not a big difference.
Right.
I think that the ratios here are pretty decent for this brew. And overall, it's maintained a lot of its flavor throughout all these different brews. So I would expect this to last, like a solid 7, not just like we're barely tasting the 7th steeping. So Here we go. Cheers.
Cheers.
I think the sweetness is starting to die off a little bit, getting a little bit more into the charcoal flavors.
Right.
A little bit more into the stronger sense of the rockiness of this.
I feel like these Wuyi teas are really, if you want like the most interesting, dynamic, complex flavors, they usually come out pretty early. I mean, some teas will last 4 or 5 for that, and then they'll sort of descend into this sort of like sweet mineral water, which I think is also quite tasty, and I enjoy drinking. And I think this tea is just transitioning over into that phase now.
Totally, yeah. This isn't the most dynamic tea we brought into the show, but again, it's not a fault of this tea. It just is sort of the life cycle of the brew. It's great overall, good balance. Surprisingly, showing up with a good amount of sweetness.
Yeah. What do you think about this tea as sort of like an intro to Wuyi's? Good, bad?
Be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be awesome. I think it'd be a good intro because it has a little bit more sweetness than some of the other flavors that you can get out of these teas. As an intro, Wuyi, I think this is great because it's got some sweetness to it. Some of them can lack a sweetness that can make it a little bit less pleasant to be introduced to the category. This has that characteristic rock flavor that you look for in these teas. Good balance, a good amount of roast still as well. Not too powerful. I think you still want to be attentive to brewing this tea, especially with the sort of parameters that we have. Again, what have we got here overall? This is...
we didn't weigh this,
5?
So we're guessing, but I would guess that this is
6,
7
7
or 8 grams for 120 milliliter. And I guess one nice thing about these teas to judge it is like you dump those leaves in the gaiwan, they're still taking about approximately the same amount of space. So easy to judge. You just fill up your gaiwan until you're good to go.
Pretty much, yeah, especially if it's fluffy and if it's a little bit more broken down, maybe ease off a little bit. But overall, solid tea. If you folks want to check out these guys, check them out at oldwaystea.com. I think that, at least to start, we haven't had a lot of their teas on. I think this is the first one on the show, but so far so good. Looks like the hive mind over Reddit might have something to say. Who knows? Their contributions are limited.
I don't know what that
I'm
means.
I'm also on Reddit. Don't find me.
Find me.
And for James, for folks who want to learn more about tea in general.
Yeah, if you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, whether it's to my right, above me, or below me, and come check us out on TeaDB.org, where we have a lot of content, a lot of written content, a lot of I don't know, I'm changing my voice. A lot of other video content as well. This is episode 307, which means that there were 306 episodes before this, which is a lot of episodes, guys. So go binge watch us. I recommend binge watching us. I'm not sure if I actually recommend that.
It's good for your health.
But watch an episode a day. Yeah.
A year of TeaDB. Subscribe to all the stuff. Follow us on Instagram. Send us to your mom. Subscribe to your mom's channel too. And we'll see you guys next time.
Cheers.